In this lesson, let's talk about targeting chord tones in a minor key chord progression. So in this example, we're going to use the key of A minor. So we're going to have an A minor chord in this progression. It's going to go to D minor, and then it's going to go to C, and it's going to go to F, and then it's going to go to G, and then E7 or E, back to A minor. So you have a temporary key change there with the major E chord, because in the key of A minor, you have 7 notes, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. But in a minor key, it's common to take that 5 chord, or the dominant chord, and make that chord major before it goes back to the 1 chord. So what ends up happening is the G that you would normally play in a minor scale will end up being G sharp. Let's take a look at this chord progression. So I have this track slowed down. This is A minor, D minor, C, F, G, E, back to A minor. So if I just play A minor pentatonic over this, even over the E chord, that works really well. It's a really good sounding chord progression and works well with the minor pentatonic scale. This also works with the blues scale really well. So blues scale works perfectly over all the chords, even that E major chord. So now in a full A minor scale, going across the entire fretboard, we have I have all of these exercises on my site that you can practice at 15 tempos. But even over the E chord, just playing the minor scale will totally work. Doesn't fully outline the chord, but I think our ears are so used to hearing that. So, prove my point. A minor pentatonic works great. A minor scale works great. Blues scale works great. The only thing that does stand out is when it goes to the E chord, you don't quite get the outline or the sound of that chord. If you want to target that chord, the most important note is that G sharp going back to A. So that's going to introduce the harmonic minor scale. So the harmonic minor scale is a minor scale with a raised 7th. You end up with that would really be the correct scale, and this note is the important note to bring out when that chord is happening. So here's that would be the first thing you probably want to practice with a track like this, is just nailing that G sharp. You could simply play the arpeggio on that. These are all just standard pentatonic. So what I did right there, just at the very end, is I just went E, G sharp, and B, played a D, which is the flat 7th, and then played C back to A. So this idea of targeting the chord tones is really about playing the correct notes in each chord in your solo while you're playing. That's really what it's about. And you can play the full scale. It's just that when the chord progressions usually happen, you don't have enough time, and nor do you really want to just play up and down the scale. But you do want to learn the harmonic minor scale. Let me digress for a second. In other words, you want to add that G sharp onto all 7 patterns of your major scale patterns, even your pentatonic and blues scales too. So for example, like just about knowing where all the notes are. I have these exercises on my site. You can practice them at 15 tempos. So that is very important, but let's actually work on targeting each one of the notes in each one of these chords. So this is an F, or G going E, sorry, back to A. It's probably the place to start, is just targeting the root notes. A. That's a D chord. That's a C chord. Here's G. E chord. Back to A. Mess that up a little bit. Let's do it again. So here's A. D, C, F, G, E chord, back to A. So that's a really great place to start, simply knowing where the chord is changing and playing the root notes. A, and doing this in different positions. C, F, back to A. I'll move it up here. A. Now here's D. Here's C. F. G. E. Back to A. So if you did all the thirds, that would be the next one. So on A, oh, end of the track. Hold on. So if we did all the thirds, so D chord would be F. Sorry, there's my place. F chord would be A. G chord would be B. And the E chord would be G sharp. And then the A chord would be back to C. It's way harder doing the thirds, but you want to be able to do this. So again, so C is on the A. F is on the D chord. So this is a C chord, so I'm playing E. And then this is an F chord, so I'm playing A. And then there's the G chord. And the E is on the G. So then after that, you'd want to do the fifths. So the fifths would be against each one of those chords while you're on the A minor chord. The fifth is the E. When it goes to the D minor chord, the fifth is A. And then when it goes to the C chord, the fifth is G. And then when it goes to the F chord, the fifth is C. And then the G chord, the fifth is D. And then on the E chord, the fifth is B. So then you'd want to put those together. So this is going to sound more like you're just running arpeggios, but it's important to be able to find each one of the notes. So that's the A. So A minor, D minor, here's the C chord, here's the F chord, here's the G chord, the E chord. now once you get those arpeggios and you start to move them around, then you can start mixing your scale tones with notes in each one of the arpeggios. So this is, here's the G chord. So here's your A, D chord, here's the C, F, G, E chord. So that mix of playing notes that are in the arpeggio as well as scale tones around it, it's what's going to help you to feel like you're playing an actual lick or a phrase around each one of the targeted chord tones. And you want to be able to do this in each position. So as you get comfortable with this, you want to move it around the neck, in other words. So here's D minor, here's C, here's F, there's your E, I'm focusing on the A there, C chord, F chord, G chord, I have a whole bunch of exercises on my site that you can practice at 15 tempos, chords, licks, scales, everything you need to help you to improve your playing. I'll put the links down below. I'll put the links to this track down below. Hope you enjoyed this. Check it out.